Why Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo reliance is the least of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's concerns. As Cristiano Ronaldo wheeled away to celebrate a last-gasp equalizer, demoralized Atalanta players dropped to their knees and threw their hands in the air in disgust. The Italians were not the first victims of Mr. Inevitable this season, nor will they be the last. It's becoming an almost weekly occurrence for Ronaldo to drag his side through torrid performances, but he's so far reserved his most crucial goals for the Champions League. Of the 5 goals he's scored in the competition so far this term, 2 have been winners in the final moments of the match, and the most recent was the equalizer in midweek. The goal was Ronaldo's 9th in 11 matches since returning to Old Trafford. On the afternoon of the match in Bergamo, the Portugal captain was named United's Player of the Month for the second time in a row. Not bad for a 36-year-old. For all of United's problems so far this season, Ronaldo is excelling in a fashion that he has normalized over the last 14 years of his career. But it should not be taken for granted how he's adapted since his return to the theater of dreams. There was no guarantee he would sustain those levels on his return to Premier League at the age of 36, and Lionel Messi's struggles at Paris Saint-Germain only underline how things could have so easily been different. Perhaps it's because Ronaldo has normalized such extraordinary levels of performance that he's taken such stinging, and at times bizarre, criticism this term, with critics desperate to capitalize on any chink in his armor. Ronaldo was bought to score goals, and he's fulfilling his part of the bargain. Without him, United would likely be third in their Champions League group and even further down the Premier League table. Since the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool, Ronaldo has been one of the rallying figures in the dressing room, and there's a sense he feels stung by some of the criticism he's faced this season, particularly in regards to his work rate. But the truth is that Ronaldo is the least of United's problems, and he's become an easy scapegoat for the club's poor campaign so far. Solskjaer has, in fairness, taken his fair share of criticism so far this season, but the spotlight on Ronaldo has been a convenient distraction for many members of the squad and overshadowed some of the easier-to-fix problems that the Norwegian has neglected this season. Having conceded 15 times in 10 matches in the Premier League already, it's peculiar to think this is the same United side that kept 13 clean sheets last term. The blame for that should be shared between Solskjaer for the changes in system he's made and the individual performances of the back four. Solskjaer was often vilified last season for playing Scott McTominay and Fred in front of the defense, with United playing with the handbrake on in away matches against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. The pair undoubtedly lack the creativity that United midfields have had in the past, but they do the running and marshalling that others often shirk. It's bizarre then that Solskjaer has often broken up the pair this season to play a more attack-minded 4-3-3 system, particularly when he has a striker in Ronaldo that the team have lacked in the last 2 years. Solskjaer had long planned to move from a 4-2-3-1 system to a 4-3-3, and the purchase of Jadon Sancho was made with that move in mind. But Ronaldo's arrival was not planned, and the Norwegian's shown a naivety in his slowness to adapt to the forward's weaknesses. Ronaldo doesn't press like Roberto Firmino or close down goalkeepers like Jamie Vardy. For a manager that has repeatedly stressed the need for his side to be the fittest in the league, he should be surrounding Ronaldo with legs and willing runners. Instead, he's played Mason Greenwood on the right and largely stuck by Paul Pogba. Beyond Solskjaer's tactics, the individual performances of the likes of Harry Maguire and Pogba should be more pressing concerns than a manufactured problem with Ronaldo. Maguire's form has nosedived this term, and suggestions of an underlying injury issue have been dismissed. Instead, there is a sense the defender is struggling with the burden of captaining the club through such a turbulent period and is feeling the strain of leading when results have been so poor. The defender was again culpable for Atalanta's second goal in a 2-2 draw in Italy on Tuesday night, playing Duvin Zapata onside before making a reckless and unsuccessful lunge at the Colombian before he fired past David De Gea. Rafael Varane's absence this weekend against Manchester City means Solskjaer has little choice but to field Maguire, but his form this term has rarely warranted a starting spot, and Eric Bailly showed on Tuesday that he's a viable alternative. If Maguire's underperformed this term, he's entitled to feel that those in front of him have left the defense exposed. Pogba spent much of last season on the left flank in a role that gave the Frenchman more creative license and less defensive responsibility. It suits the midfielder perfectly, and the move resulted in Pogba's best season to date at Old Trafford. But the arrivals of Sancho and Ronaldo has meant Solskjaer's been forced to push Pogba back into a more orthodox role in central midfield, and that's left United looking unbalanced. Pogba's season was summed up by his performance against Atalanta on Tuesday, with the Frenchman guilty of losing the ball in his own half and squandering possession. Paul Scholes was far from impressed with his former teammate, accusing him of being away with the fairies. Pogba needs somebody on him all the time, somebody there that he totally respects. He needs experienced people behind him, said Scholes. How old he? 28. He's a really experienced player. But he's one of them that will get to 35 and be exactly the same. He'll still be doing the stupid stuff where he's stud rolling the ball, holding people off, showing how strong and skillful he is. The biggest thing with Paul is his concentration. He goes away with the fairies at times. Jurgen Klopp hated subbing off Liverpool star during Atletico Madrid win, what Antonio Conte told buzzing Tottenham players in first meeting with new squad. Lionel Messi named 7 Champions League contenders, including PSG and Man United. Ronaldo may have been spoken about as a problem in some quarters, but Pep Guardiola will look on longingly at what he could have had this weekend when Manchester City travel to Old Trafford. Make no mistake, the Spaniard would love a forward of Ronaldo's ilk up front, and the move would have materialized had United not intervened in the dying stages of the window. Like at United, Ronaldo would have offered little out of possession at City, but he would have had the structure behind him to thrive, and Solskjaer can be thankful that Ronaldo was persuaded to return to Old Trafford rather than the blue half of the city. The question Solskjaer faces now is whether he can find a workable system to get the best out of Ronaldo whilst maintaining defensive solidity. The pressure on Solskjaer's position has lifted slightly after positive results against Tottenham and Atalanta, but he cannot survive another humiliation this Saturday. There's only so long Ronaldo can keep papering over the cracks. More, Gareth Southgate explains why Manchester United duo Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood missed out on England's squad. For more stories like this, check our sport page. Follow Metro Sport for the latest news on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.